Joe, I'd like to show you a couple of physical principles and illustrate them with these quarters. If I take the 2 quarters and I fuse them, you see we get a $50. And if I take the $50 and split it in half, you see we get the 2 quarters again.
Wow.
And now an effect with the 2 quarters. We have 1 here and 1 here. 1 and 1. Keep your eye on this one. It's going to go up my sleeve, across my back, and down into this hand. Watch it go up, across, and down. You look a little skeptical. If I show you it wasn't in this hand, would you begin to believe? But you really want to see the proof, wouldn't you?
Oh.
And now, an effect with 1 quarter. If I put it in my hand Washington side up and poke it, nothing happens. But if I put it in my hand eagle side up and poke it, you see it flies away and stays away until it decides to come back. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce my dear friend Jerry Deutsch, who will help me this afternoon. Fusion and fission. The first part is fusion. You start with 2 coins, 2 quarters, and a $50 finger palmed in your right hand. You're going to bring the 2 quarters together and thumb palm them in your right hand, and deposit the finger palmed coin on your left fingertips and produce it. Stroke it. The fission part, you're reversing the procedure. You're going to finger palm the $50. You're going to retrieve the 2 quarters, and you're going to snap them like that to make the sound of the $50 breaking. Once again, you bring the 2 quarters together into the thumb palm and out of the finger palm. On the way back, into the finger palm, out of the thumb palm with a snap, and you've completed the fusion and the fission.
Is that one motion, into the thumb palm and out of the finger palm?
In here.
I see.
This trick was taught to Ed Balducci by Tenkai in 1937, and Ed taught it to me in 1945. I changed a couple of small parts of the trick. I used quarters because they were more visible, and for me they were easier to manipulate. And I also used my back finger clip between the second and third fingers of the right hand, because the Tenkai pinch between the third and little finger looked kind of awkward. My hand looked a little arthritic when I did the Tenkai pinch, so I substituted this move. And the way the effect is done is you start with coin in each hand, and you say that I'm going to do an effect with 2 coins for you, 2 quarters, 1 here and 1 here. Now, as I turned my hands over, I back finger clipped the coin in my right hand, so that if I went like this, the back finger clip is performed in this way. You bring the coin to a horizontal position between your second and third finger. You let it rest on your thumb. You don't push with your thumb. And you close these other fingers in, and the coin just rolls lightly along the thumb and winds up in the back. To retrieve it, you let it lie on the back of your hand and you pull it forward like this. So the effect works like this. 2 coins, one here and one here. 1 and 1. Keep your eye on this coin, please. It's going to go up my sleeve, across my back, and down into my hand. You look a little skeptical. If I showed you that it wasn't there, would you begin to believe? And there it is.
You moved it from one hand to the other, the same coin. I saw it twice, right?
Yes, yes. So what happens is they're really seeing this coin twice. And if your hands are sticky, they might not slip so well. But normally, they slip quite easily. And you push it down. Now, when you turn the right hand down, this is what happens underneath. You rest it on your thumb again, and you bring it into your hand like that. And you're misdirecting by saying, keep your eye on this coin, please. And then you say, it's going to hop up my sleeve, skip across my chest, and jump into this hand. Show your left hand empty, and show the 2 coins in your right hand. Once again, the clip. The 3rd finger comes onto the thumb side and it levers it around. Now it rests very lightly on the thumb, and the fingers of the right hand close. It levers around to the back, and you should have a fairly relaxed looking hand. If you were using the Tenkai palm, which was over here, my hand at any rate, looked a little arthritic to me, so I preferred not to use the Tenkai palm. Incidentally, I taught this effect to Al Goshman when he was still working as a baker. He had trouble learning the finger clip between the 2nd and 3rd fingers, so I taught him the Tenkai pinch. And that he was able to get, and he did that very well. Years later, after he turned professional, he was still using the Tenkai pinch, but Bobo didn't know that it was Tenkai's effect. So when he saw Al do it, he called it the Goshman pinch. And that's how the misnomer occurred. But Tenkai had shown that 40, 50 years before. When he first came over from Japan, he was already doing the Tenkai pennies. It really is his move. This is my take on Leipzig's effect right there, which was shown to me by Dave Vernon in 1945. I liked the effect. I altered the handling and the presentation a little just to suit my own hands and my own personality. But let me show you how I do it. I think it's a little stronger than the explanation given by Day in his Tribute to Leipzig book. I'm going to start with the head side up, and I'm going to put the quarter in my hand, head side up, and poke, and show that nothing happens. So I turn it over, and I point out the American Eagle side. And now when I put it in my hand and poke, this is what happens. The coin goes in and comes out on the other side. Now I poke. And as my hands turn around, that's what happens.
It's back clip between the 1st and 2nd finger?
Of my right hand. And they see my hand is empty. It also gives me additional cover. In the Tribute to Leipzig, the picture shows him placing the coin in the hand this way. And when you turn around, your right hand is moving more than your left hand is, which doesn't give you as much cover as if you hold your forefinger on the top and your thumb on the bottom and put it in. Now both hands are moving together, and it gives you a little more cover. So once again, the coin, when you're going to make it vanish, goes over the thumb, under the second finger, and it stops at the third finger. Now you're holding the coin like this. As your hands come around, you let go with your third finger. The coin snaps up to between your first and second finger, and this is what the audience see. As you come around again the other way, you thumb palm the coin, and you can show both sides of your hand empty that way. Joe, I'd like to show you an effect called contemplate. Would you hold the plate like that, please? And I'm going to take the coins over here. Hold it level. Now watch closely. You need a glass plate, a regular English penny, and a $50 English penny magnetic copper silver. It's called, Eddie Gibson makes this, but it can also be done with a Scotch and silver or a Connie Hayden copper silver with a loose shell.
Is that a double-side coin?
Yes. Now I'm going to show you what this consists of. This is a copper silver coin. It's a head side on the copper, tail side on the silver, and the shell is a head, and it's got a shim inside of it. When I slip the penny into the half, it locks by magnetism. So that's how you vanish the coin. You produce the coin from a classic palm in your left hand. So you come out holding the plate in this hand, you hand it to someone, and then you put the other coins on your fingers, you get them set, and slowly you put it under the plate and make sure it's under. Now you tell them, I'm going to cover those coins for an instant, and you're going to hear a click. And when you hear that click, that's when the magic happens. Now, did you hear that click? And they generally say yes. And I take my hand away, and you can either tilt the plate so it slides, or you can move it like that.
So you drop this coin and you put these two together, is that right?
I slide the copper silver coin into the shell underneath. That makes the penny vanish there, and I drop the classic palm coin onto the plate. Then you can move this, bring this out immediately, drop it onto the plate, and show your hands empty. So that is the explanation for contemplate, and it's a very strong trick with very little effort. The effect I'm going to do now is called the chaperone. The chaperone was hired to keep an eye on this girl and her boyfriend. They tried to give her the slip, but as soon as they embraced, she appeared beside them. Once again, they tried to give her the slip, and once again, as soon as they embraced, she appeared beside them. So they switched to plan B. The boy said goodnight, left the house, and hid outside. The chaperone got sleepy and went to bed, and the girlfriend sneaked outside to meet him. But as soon as they embraced, the chaperone disappeared from her bed and appeared beside them. That's how she came to be known as the world's greatest chaperone. The chaperone. The effect was inspired by an effect of Dr. Daly's. He published a routine in the Sphinx, probably in the early 50s, called Chromosphere. And I liked the idea. It was a challenge, and I worked out a little story and a little routine with it. And the routine requires the use of 3 separate balls. This is the world's most famous chaperone. This is the boyfriend, and this is the girl she was hired to keep an eye on. And in my right hand, in the finger palm, I have a duplicate chaperone. Now they try to give her the slip, 1, 2, and in doing that, I dropped the chaperone in with the boy and the girl. And this one goes into my pocket. But as soon as they embraced, the chaperone appeared beside them. And there's the chaperone. Now, they try to give her the slip again, 1, 2. But as soon as they embraced, again, she appeared beside them. Finally, they switched to plan B. The boy said goodnight, left the house, but hid outside and waited. The chaperone became tired, went to bed, and the girl sneaked out to join him. But as soon as they embraced, the chaperone disappeared from the bed and appeared beside them. That's how she came to be known as the world's greatest chaperone. Now, the first part of the effect, the 2 in the hand and 1 in the pocket, I demonstrated. That was 1, 2, I just dropped the extra ball in, and 3. This I pretend to put in my pocket, but I leave it finger palmed in this hand. I'm now going to do a move of Dr. Daly's that I think is far superior to any of the shuttle moves that you get. What Daly did is he showed this here, came and took him and showed here. So it was a simple take. And the timing on it was perfect. There was no dumping, no fast movements.
You took 2, not 3.
I took
right?
2, and I left the third one here. So I started in this position with 2 here and 1 here. I pretended to take all 3 and show them. I then dropped the boy, the girl, and this time I left the extra chaperone behind. And 1, 2, 3. This is the next to the last move. Now the last move is they switch to plan B. The boy says goodnight and leaves but hides outside and waits. The chaperone gets tired, goes to sleep, at which time the girl sneaks out. Now when the chaperone gets tired and goes to sleep, what I do is I do a slightly modified French drop. But instead of coming in this way, I just come and take it like this. So it's a soft move. It's not a big clutching move. And that gives me perfect cover for getting rid of both of the balls. Now, presumably I have the chaperone in my left hand. Now I'm all set for the climax. As soon as they embraced, the chaperone disappeared from her bed and appeared beside them. And that's how she came to be known as the world's greatest chaperone. And now a ring and a pen. I prefer a wedding ring, but since you don't have one, we'll use this. Okay. Well, you can examine both, please. Lay the ring right here on top of the pen, and you see where the ring is. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'd like you to do is hold this end in your right hand and the other end in your left hand. Now, as I rub the ring up and back, it's slowly going to sink through the pen and, look, wind up right on the pen. Now, you look like a good sport, Joe. If we met at a party or at a bar, and if I said that I could take that ring off the pen without removing your hands, breaking the pen or breaking the ring, would you bet me a beer that I couldn't do it?
Sure.
Sure you would. we're not going to play for a beer today, but I'm going to teach you how to drink free for the rest of your life. Would you like to learn that?
Love to.
Okay, the ring is on the pen. Now watch closely. Now the ring is off the pen, you see, and you owe me a beer. See, on the pen. Now, what you were expecting then was magic, and what I just showed you is tragic. But I don't want to disappoint you, so hold on again, tightly. But 1, 2.
Oh.
You borrow a pen if you like, and you can borrow a wedding ring. And the on part of the trick is, or the routine is mine. Then the second part of the routine is a bar bet. And the third part of the routine is an Oscar Weigel move, which I think is the strongest move in the routine, which is the off. But let's start with the on. You borrow a pen and a ring, and you have the person place the ring on top of the pen like that. What I'm going to do is, when I ask Jerry to hold this end of the pen in his right hand and this end of the pen in his left hand, as I go to turn it over, this is what happens. As the back of my hand comes up toward the audience, my thumb slides the ring down. As I take the pen in this hand and say, you hold this, watch what happens at the bottom. It snaps right over and my hand just moves in here. And then I have them hold both ends of the pen. I tell them I'm rubbing the ring through, up and back, and slowly it melts right through and it winds up on the... So that's effect 1 in the routine. The second part is a bar gag. It's just a chance to let them clear their palates while they get ready for the third part. So I tell them that, would you bet that you look like a good sport? That's the way I like to set it up. If we met at a party or at a bar, and if I said that I could take that ring off the pen without removing your hands, would you bet me a soda or a beer that I couldn't do it? And most of them will say yes. I follow up by saying, we're not going to play for a beer today, but I'm going to teach you how to drink free for the rest of your life. And they're expecting to see a great trick. And I say, now the ring is on the pen, and now the ring is off the pen, and you owe me a beer or a soda. If they don't catch on, as sometimes they don't, this is on the pen, and this is off the pen. And that's a groaner. And I say at this point, what you were expecting was magic, and what I just showed you was tragic. Let me redeem myself. And I do this once or twice. I'll try to do it again for you. And in that little bit of a move, 1, 2, 3, came away with the ring. Now, how is that done? You lean on the edge of the ring, and this is the reason why a wedding ring is preferable to a ring with a stone in it. You bring that up like this, slide it to the middle of the pen, and you spin it. That sets them psychologically. Now you're going to do exactly the same action, but this time the ring is not going to be on the pen. You see, I've already gotten that ring off. I'll show you how that's done in a minute. And that's how the trick is done. But here I'll try to let you see underneath. You do this, and to get it off, as you raise your hand like this is what happens, and it slides to the center. They're holding and holding tight. You go 1, 2, snap, pull it off, and drop it on the table. And that really is a shocker for the layman who may not know about this. Joe, last night I called my acupuncturist and asked her what to do for a backache. And she said, take 2 pins and call me in the morning. Now, all I could find were a couple of safety pins, and since she didn't give me any instructions, I started to play with these pins, and I noticed when I put the left pin around the right pin, from a distance they looked like they might be linked, but they weren't. When I put the right pin around the left pin, I could swear that those pins were linked, but I realized that it was only an optical illusion, because the only way to link two pins is to put one between the bars of the other and close it. Now we know that those two pins are linked. Even if they appear to be separate, we know that those two pins are linked. I became so fascinated with those pins that I completely forgot about my backache. You see, acupuncture works. This is the explanation for the slidini pin routine, which I do. Tony's pins, I found, were, for my purposes, superior to the other versions of the linking and unlinking pin, because it allowed me to link and unlink the pins as softly as I wanted to. The slidini pin is a true linking pin. It's made of a regular pin, which the point part, this part, has been soldered inside the head like this. It's soldered in here, and then a key has been cut in the rear of the pin. So I'm using one gimmick pin, which I cover this way, and one ungimmick pin. I use a three-part routine. The first part is a feint. I say, when I place the left pin around the right pin, from a distance they look like they might be linked, but they aren't. When I place the right pin around the left pin, I said I could swear they were linked, and in that movement they came right through. Now I unlink them and say, but I realized it was only an optical illusion.
How'd you link it though?
Now let me show you how I linked it. Remember, this is the opening is on this side. When I placed the pin on here and slid it down in order to do this, it gave me an opportunity to slide the pin through the opening. Then I hit it a couple of times like that, brought it back, and said, but that was only an optical illusion.
Oh, so you went to the opening again then?
And I went through the opening a second time. So what I do for phase 2 is to link and then unlink the pin through the opening. Let me show you that again. The opening is under my thumb. When I put the right pin around the left pin, I slide it down until the pin goes through the opening like that, and then I show that they're linked. Now immediately I duck the head under this bar, and I come back like this again, but that was only an optical illusion, because the only way to link two pins is to open one. I actually open the good pin, slip it through the bars of the other, and close it. Now we know that those two pins are linked. Even if they appear to be separate, we know that those two pins are linked. And what I've done here is I've put the pin through and locked it. Now it really is actually linked. As I come back this way, I've just slid it back, and it's right and back now. So even if it seems to be separate, we know they're linked. And then I put the two pins together, and I say I became so fascinated with the pins that I completely forgot about my backache. Acupuncture works. During World War II, I was a navigator, and the cardinal points on the compass are north, east, south, and west. Now the axis, this is the northeast axis, this is the east-west axis. Which axis would you?
East-west.
East-west? Watch very closely. This is the explanation for north, south, east, and west, which are the cardinal points on a compass. This is north and south, and this is east and west. Which do you prefer? And whatever they prefer happens. If they say east and west, I say watch closely. If they said north and south, I would have done this and had the same effect. But the effect is produced by a pretended take, which was invented by Bernard Billis of France. And pretended takes are the strongest moves that you can do in magic. And if you want to really improve your magic, substitute a pretended take for a pretended put or a pretended put and take, and you'll increase the magical quality greatly. Now here's the way this is done. This is east and west, and this is the north-south axis. As I go, I cover these two coins with the left hand, and the right hand comes in over here. The right hand pretends to take the rearmost coin, but it just leaves it there and does a little play acting and comes out here. And even though the spectator swears they saw the coin going.
Do it without moving this, without this hand.
Okay.
Just use this hand to move this one away.
And this way, make sure that your thumb and your first or second finger can touch both coins. And this way you just come like that. It's very soft, and because it's a pretended take, it's very effective magically. And now I'd like to show you a little effect called the jawed coin. Watch closely. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. Oh. This is the explanation for the jawed coin. I'm going to show you the first jar I made, and then I'm going to show you the way I do the routine at this time, which is a little differently. The first jar was made out of a Maxim coffee jar, and these are Netherlands coins, Dutch coins. They were a little larger than the ones I had, but I discovered quite by accident that some money I picked up in Romania when I was shot down was magnetizable. And I went into the science department at Brooklyn College and tried to get some kind of magnet, and they sent me to Permag, which was out in Queens, and I bought a flexible sheet of rubberized material that was impregnated with a magnet. And I cut a piece the size of the cap, stuck it in, and then I put a piece of the cardboard that comes inside the caps to make a seal inside on top of that. That gave me so I would start the effect
That's a duplicate of the one that's over there.
It's a duplicate of the coin that's here. Now I would do my version of a pivot vanish. John Ramsey had a pivot vanish that was made for his hands, which were small with short fingers, so he did it down here. What I did was moved it up and try to make it look like and even now, as my hands get sticky from the lights, it makes it a little more difficult. But you can get a persistence of vision effect as it goes between the fingers. Now, I pick up the jar, and it goes in here.
So you're keeping the coin in this hand and releasing it from that
right.
hand?
I'm pretending to take the coin in my left hand, but I'm doing a pivot vanish. And the way I do the pivot vanish is I close my thumb and second finger around the coin, around the right edge of the coin. But I let you see the coin going in. When I get to here, I close my hand and I let it pivot into this hand and close this hand. Then I pick up the jar. The coin is now in my finger palm, in the right hand. And when I hit this, the finger palm coin goes into the jar. That is penetration 1. The second penetration is even easier. You do this.
You may believe you took it out and kept it in that hand.
In this case, what I did is I let the coin slide into the finger palm as I came up like this and made believe I took the coin here. So it's back in the finger palm as it was after I did the pivot vanish. And now when I hit it, it went in. Then I say I'm going to make it even harder to do. And I usually do this standing, but I put the top back on again, show the coin.
And it's thumb palm?
It's thumb palm now. As my hand comes down, it goes back into a fingertip rest position, so I can free up my thumb to open the jar and pour the coin out.
Now what's the little one?
Now the little one. Remember, this is magnetized. This is the extra coin, and this was the first version. The second version came years later after magnetic coins were invented. Once they invented magnetic coins, I was able to use almost any jar with a tin cover on it, and I could do it impromptu. I could go in and buy a little jar of baby food and clean that out and use it if I needed a jar. It's a little larger than this. This is a jelly or jam jar that is served in the better hotels instead of those little cardboard cups that they sell in other restaurants. Here, the jar is unprepared, so if the jar breaks, you don't have any big problem. But the quarter has a magnet inside of it. And you see how that sticks? So I can do exactly what I did there, except it's with an unprepared jar. Here I have a prepared jar. So that gets dropped in, I unscrew it, pivot vanish. It's small. If I were sitting back further near the end of the table, at the end I would do this by doing a sweep vanish into my lap.
Can you get magnetic quarters anywhere?
Most of the magic shops either carry them or can order them for you, but I feel it's a great investment. If you do nothing else, if you do a walk-around effect, this is so small you can carry this in your pocket. And you can do table to table and get it set up very quickly. That is the evolution of the jarred coin. This has a fixed magnet in the cover, and this has a magnetic coin and can be done with a variety of different jars. Joe, here's an interesting little effect. I've never seen a purple cow. I never hope to see one. But I can tell you here and now, I'd rather see than be one. This is the explanation for the purple cow routine. I use 2 coins. It probably would be better if I had plastic coins, but I couldn't find them this color. I have a regular silver coin, and I have something that approximates purple. And what I do is a series of, they called it the tumble change. And this is probably the most difficult to describe, so I'll illustrate it a few times so that you can rewind and learn how to do it. I start with the coin not quite finger palmed, but sort of clipped by that 3rd finger in this manner. And the reason is that it allows me to make the first change quickly. So here's what I do. I turn the first coin over so they can see both sides. I'm going to now put the silver coin into the thumb palm of my right hand, and I'm going to replace it with the purple coin from my right finger palm. I'm going to drop it so that they can see that it's purple on both sides. I then am going to come this way and rub twice, turn it again, and now I'm going to switch. I'm going to put this back into the thumb palm, and I'm going to lay the finger palm coin on my... Now, if you remember when we did the fusion and the fission, I did this part of this move, but not the whole move, but it's a tumble kind of move. So I'll do it again from the top so you can follow the sequence of moves. It starts this way. This hand you can show freely, or you can even do this and they don't see anything. First change is this, from the finger palm to the thumb palm. Drop it, show both sides of the coin. Now I'm going to put this coin back in the finger palm. I'm going to take the thumb palm coin, put it here, and I'm going to turn it over and grab it, and now I'm going to brush it like this. And there's something about the movement.
It's very soft.
That's soft and almost balletic. Some people get a little hypnotized just by the movement, and they forget about the effect. They say, you're moving your hands so softly. And so I'm down here, back here, and now I'm going to end the effect by just doing that, throwing and showing both sides of my hands empty. But as you see, I try to work slowly and softly and openly and with relaxed hands and shoulders, because a coin is not a heavy thing, and they don't, if you look like you're straining and lifting something heavy, it eliminates part of the magical effect. I have a saying. It's probably the only saying I came up with, but if a trick doesn't correspond with this belief, I don't use it. And the saying goes that when you labor like a mouse and give birth to an elephant, it's magic. But when you labor like an elephant and give birth to a mouse, it's tragic. And if a new effect doesn't pass that test, I don't do it. I'll play with an effect that I like for a long time to try to get it to look as effortless as possible. And that's why I don't move fast, I don't talk, I don't walk fast. I'm not a type A personality, so I didn't have to suppress very much. But nevertheless, I still make an effort to work very slowly. I told Maya that I used to work even more slowly 60 years ago. I had more time then. Joe, here's another little effect with 2 ropes. Would you hold one in each hand? You can look at them and hand me one or the other. Very good. I'm going to drape this one over your shoulder, Joe, like that. And with this rope, I'm going to tie a very simple overhand knot. Hold this end in your right hand and this end in your left hand. Watch closely. This is the explanation of Not For You. It consists of two moves. One is the world's fastest knot, and the other is the ghost knot of Ralph W. Hulls. The fastest knot in the world is done like this.
This is the one when you put it over their head?
Yes. As I go to throw it over their heads, and my hand goes over their heads so it's out of the sight line, all I have to do is this, and then lay the knot in the back and each end over a shoulder.
Do that again?
Yeah, I'll do that again. If their head was over here, I would come up to go in back of them, and as soon as I got over their head, this is all I would do, and then drape the rope over their shoulders. So unbeknownst to them, this knot is on the back of their neck, and these two ends are over their shoulders. Now I combine this with R.W. Hull's ghost knot, which I think is a very relaxed, pretty way and very open way of making a single knot, an overhand knot. Now you hold on to that and to that. I take it out, throw it, and pull this from the back of their head. Now let me show you how to make Ralph W. Hull's ghost knot. You're holding the rope across your palm up hands. Your thumbs come down, and the right end goes over the left, and you're holding it this way. You toss it over, and you grab it, and you pull it through like that. And now you move that down, and then you move that down, and you tighten it slowly so that it looks as though from this position and from this position that you've just tied a single overhand knot. Once more. Right over left like this, and held in position like this. Now you toss it and grab this end. Now this is not a true knot because I'm holding this against this. Now as I tighten it here and here, it seems to be tightening up into a simple overhand knot, and the look is perfect if you do this. Now when that's laid into your hand, simply by handing this to him and the other end to him, I've gotten rid of that knot. So if I do this and toss it away, you can say, see, the knot's gone, and then reproduce it on the other rope. Joe, I'd like to show you a trick with a copper and a silver coin, and just two hands. Watch this. Copper gone. Silver gone. Just gone. In my right hand, I have a copper-silver coin. In my left hand, I have a shell that fits over the copper-silver coin. This was made for me by Connie Hayden. This is not a magnetic shell or a locking shell of any kind. It just fits loosely so that if it's in my pocket, I can take it out of my pocket and I'm ready to go. I show one coin in each hand. Show your left hand empty. Show your right hand empty. Take the penny and throw it up in the air where it vanishes. Actually, the penny slipped into the shell, and all they can see is a silver coin. Now I'm going to do a thumb palm in my right hand and the Jonathan Townsend equipment. This is the vanish of the second coin. You show that it isn't here, and you run your hands like that and show your hands empty. I'll do that again. Penny in this hand, half or silver coin in this hand. Empty hand, empty hand. Take the penny, throw it up in the air and it vanishes. Take the silver coin, throw it down on the ground and it vanishes. Show your left hand empty.
What are you doing now? You're throwing it in the finger palm?
Do the equipment. Yes, I'm transferring the coin from the thumb palm of my right hand to the finger palm of my left hand, and it winds up here. So I'm starting with the coin after I vanish the coin here. Then I show my left hand empty. Now, immediately, I'm going to transfer. This is what an equipment is. It's a secret transfer of a coin from one hand to the other. I'm going to do the Townsend equipment. I'm coming across like that, sliding down like that, and showing this hand empty. So they just saw this one a moment ago, and now they're seeing this one, and this hand is, try to be relaxed. And so they've seen both hands, and both coins are gone, just gone. Joe, I'd like to show you an effect called the elusive ball. Watch closely. It eluded me. Let's see if you can hold on to it more tightly. Now we've got one in your hand, and I'm going to put one in my hand. Oh, mine is gone. Open your hand slowly. I'll be done. 1, 2. Sponges are very prolific breeders, and if you put 2 sponges in a tight spot like that and squeeze, you know what you get? Open your hand slowly. Reproduction. I do 2 vanishes in this routine, and a very interesting, it's I call it the elusive sponge, and an interesting sleeve move. This is a way to get one ahead. Now I add the palm ball to the one from my sleeve, and I say maybe you can hold on to it tighter than I was able to hold on to it. Now we've got one ball in your hand, and now I'm going to do the Carlisle vanish, and my ball vanished. Open your hand slowly. Oh, here we are. 1, 2. They say that sponges are very prolific creatures, so if you put 2 sponges in a tight squeeze like that, and we're liable to get some interesting effect. Let's see. Oh, reproduction. So once again, what I do is I start with a sponge ball in my sleeve, one in my pocket, and one visible. The first vanish, all I'm doing is rolling it into a finger palm position like this, and as this hand comes away, all I do is simply close these fingers on it and try to do it as softly as possible. Rub it away, gone, and now slowly I begin to let it develop at my elbow. When it's about that far out, I reach up, get it, add the other sponge ball to it, and put it in the spectator's hand and see if they can hold it tighter than I was able to. Now I'm going to do the Francis Carlisle vanish, which is really sort of like a thimble vanish, but instead of a thimble snapping out, you're using 2 fingers and you're snapping the ball out. Open your hand slowly, please. Here we have 1, 2. Close your hand again. Sponges are very prolific creatures, etc. And all I did was the sponge ball I got ahead when I vanished the ball by the Carlisle vanish. I added to one ball 2 balls, so that when they grabbed the 2 balls, there was actually a third one added secretly, and that's how you get the climax of reproduction. Here's the Carlisle Vanish again, a little more detail on it. You hold the ball between your first and second fingers. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So once again, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And all you're doing is transferring the ball from your palm to your thumb palm. If you like, you can even show it before you vanish it, going for a persistence of vision on it. That's the Carlisle Vanish. This is the 51-cent trick. Since the $half is worth 49 cents more than the penny, keep your eye on the half. Up my sleeve, across my chest, and down into my hand. Once again, watch the half. Up my sleeve, across my back, and down in my hand. If I drop the half in my side pocket, just notice how it filters through the bottom, and we still have 51 cents. This time I'd like you to watch the penny. You're not watching that penny. You see, that's down here. Now, we use an extra coin in doing the effect. And we start with the extra coin, classic palmed in the right hand. This is one of the moves that T.J. Crawford taught me in Nashville, Tennessee in 1943. So I have an extra coin palmed here. I emphasize the 51 cents and say, since the half is worth 49 cents more than the penny, keep your eye on the half. Now, I drop my hands, and as I go to shake it up my shoulder, I classic palm the coin in the left palm, and I let the coin in the right palm fall when I pull my sleeve. Now I take the penny in my left hand, and I look here. I classic palm the coin, the $half in my right hand, and as I pull the sleeve, I let the classic palm coin fall on top of the penny. Now I'm going to get rid of the extra coin. I'm going to take the penny, drop it in my side pocket, and have it filter through. Now I'm only working with 2 coins. I classic palm and do a click pass. This is the way I did it originally when I only knew this click pass. Throw it, pretend to catch it, and show one in each hand. Now the penny goes between my lips. I pretended to drop the $half into my right hand. I ended the preceding move this way. Now,
could you explain that click pass again?
Yes. The click pass, as you come toward your left hand, you lock these fingers together so there's no unnecessary movement, and you classic palm this coin as you pretend to take it here.
You pretend to put it here.
But it's still here.
Uh-huh.
Now I take this one, the penny, and I come down to drop it on top of the one, presumably that's in the left hand. What happens is that this coin hits this coin and bounces into the hand.
So like $half is here and the penny's
penny,
there.
And the penny remains in my right hand. So now I say, now let's switch and watch the penny this time instead of the half. and I reach out and I catch the penny and I show the half and dump it in the position for a finger palm. Now this goes up. This is also T.J. Crawford. And there's something very deceptive about these movements of his. And that was the next to the last sequence. The final sequence is vanish the penny, vanish the half, and the back finger clip both coins, catch the half, and retrieve the penny from behind your leg. Now what I did then was I vanished the penny by the back finger clip. This is my technique for the back finger clip. I hold the coin between my thumb and forefinger. My second finger comes around to the thumb side and leans gently like that so the coin becomes horizontal. I rest it lightly on my thumb and just close my fingers. I do not push with my thumb. It's my fingers closing that cause the coin to roll around to the back of my hand.
Like with the Tenkai penny.
Like with the Tenkai pennies, except that with the Tenkai pennies I did it between the second and third fingers, and with this routine I do it between the first and second fingers. Now, when I vanish the penny, I now have the half to vanish. So I put the half in my palm and these fingers remove the penny, except that I'm standing this way so you don't see it happen. Now I vanish the half, look up, catch the half there, and then look down behind my knee, come down and say, but you weren't watching the penny, and I bring the penny out. And for the last sequence, it's best done without glasses, and it's very difficult now even to do the pivot vanish because my hands are so wet. But this is a pivot click pass that I developed and that Eric DeCamp uses regularly now and very well. And that's the end of the trick. It usually ends with a chuckle when it comes out of your nose, in my eye, out my nose, and that's the end of the 51-cent trick. This is a detailed explanation of the click pass. The standard click pass is done as follows. The coin is placed on the second and third finger as you come around to place the coin in your left hand. The thumb goes back and joins the forefinger so that it doesn't go sticking out like that. And as you come around, you classic palm the silver coin. Now you take the copper coin, show it. Now that goes on these fingers. So you've got a classic palm coin and you've got another coin resting on the pads of your second and third fingers. As you go to drop it into this hand, you release the classic palmed $half. It hits this coin and bounces into this hand. It should, like that. And creating the illusion that there are two coins here. Then you can do this, reach out and catch the coin here and show that there's only one in this hand. That's one way of doing it. And this is my version of the click pass. I do a pivot vanish and then a click. I call it the pivot click. The pivot vanish you've seen. And as I come this way, it is allowed to spin around and land in the finger palm. As I say, it's so hot in here that it hangs up. The second coin is just tossed on top of that and you pretend to catch it. So it looks as though there are two coins in here.
Actually, there's how many, none?
And actually there are none here. This is the one I use when I rub it into my eye and bring them out of my nose for the last move. So I use this pivot click for that purpose. I use the classic click pass where one remains here and one remains here for the preceding click pass. So those are the two click passes I use in the 51-cent trick. The routine was developed in the spring of 1945 I was flying as a navigator on a B-24 on March the 23rd, and we were shot down while bombing the Hermann Goering Tank Works in St. Valentins, Austria. We couldn't get back to our base, so we crash-landed in western Hungary near the border of Austria. And luckily, the Germans were retreating and the Russians were advancing, and we came down right between these two groups. The Russians had just taken Budapest and they were on their way to Vienna. And we evaded capture by the Germans, and we were picked up by a Russian infantry patrol that took us back to Budapest. In a few days, they cleared the tracks and made up a train, and the train consisted of an old engine and tender and 4 or 5 boxcars. The first boxcar, there were 2 crews, 20 of us, and we had straw beds, and there were pallets, so 5 men slept at each end and 5 men on top of the pallets. And in the other 4 cars, there were various kinds of civilians. There were a few tortured souls who had been freed from concentration camps. There were some slave laborers who had been freed. There were others who had been hiding in the cities with false papers. There were others working on farms as farm laborers, claiming they were the wives of Gentile who were allowed to be out. But these people were all trying to get back to their little hometowns to see if anybody was left alive. We left Budapest and headed down toward northern Yugoslavia, and then we headed east across the full width of Romania to Bucharest and wound up in Odessa, Russia. And all this time, these civilians were dropping off and others were coming back. They were all trying to get back to their homes. The train needed to take on water fairly frequently. So when it stopped at a water tank, all of us would get out of the trains and try to stretch our legs a little bit. And there were a number of children in the other cars, and so they would come down to the water tower, and their parents and the kids themselves looked as though they were all suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. They were all depressed and they were downcast. So I picked up a pebble and I tried to catch a kid's eye, and I rubbed it in my eye and brought it out of my nose, and rubbed it in the kid's head and brought it out from behind his ear, and slowly the kid realized that I was being playful with him. And finally he smiled, and his mother said that was the first time she had seen her child smile in a couple of years. So I realized how powerful any type of entertainment, but also magic, could be in terms of helping people to stop obsessing about their losses, because all of these people had sustained tremendous losses. Each time we stopped for water, the kids came running over to our boxcar, was the first car behind the tender, and asked for more. So between stops, I started to put together some moves I had on my own from before, these 2 moves that T.J. Crawford gave me, and by the time I got to Odessa, I had worked out the routine I just did for you. And that was in April of 1945. It was just before the end of the war. The war ended May 8th. My oldest boy was born when I was missing in action. He was born on April the 24th, while we were making our way across Romania into Odessa. And that's when we heard that Franklin D. Roosevelt had died. None of us wanted to believe it at the time, but we knew how sick he was, and eventually it sank in. So that's the story of how this 51-cent routine came into being, and I've been using it in one form or another since 1945. So that's 55 going on